Sounds like the ship had encountered some unknown force.
Captain's log, stardate 1312.4.
Bridge to briefing lounge. Object is now within tractor beam range.
Hey everybody, welcome to Drive Through Review 146. Today I'm going to talk about Space Cadets. It's a new game from Stronghold Games. It's a cooperative game. It is an amazing game. I can't think of a game I've had more fun playing in a long time. It plays 3 to 6 players and says 60 to 120 minutes. I think the time frame is about accurate. I think you probably could get away with playing this up to 9 players. I don't know that it would be optimal, but basically the idea is that you and your group of incompetent space cadets are trying to maneuver your starship through different missions. So there's 6 different missions in the game, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but there's a lot of variety and spice that you can add to each mission, changing the difficulty levels. The terrain, or the space terrain, I guess, can be very different each time. The different enemies that you're going to face are going to be different each time. And so each of you is going to be responsible for a different sort of station or position on the starship. One guy might be manning weapons, the other may be manning the engineering, or the sensors, or the shields, all kinds of different roles. So if you're playing with less players, with 3, you probably handle like 3 different roles. But if you're playing with 5 or 6 or more, then you kind of spread them out a little bit. One player is going to be the captain. They don't really have a whole lot of proactive roles, but I think if you are going to get this game and teach it to either a gamer group or your family, it's very family friendly, but it also has a lot of, there's a decent amount of meat to this game in some respects. So I would say if you're going to get this and teach it, you can be the captain and sort of take on this sort of reserved role and kind of help people out with their different things and sort of direct the overall flow of the game. Because each of the stations is actually very simple individually, but kind of putting that all together is really where the strategy is going to come from, and a lot of the chaos and the fun and the bumbling and all this stuff is going to come from. So let me show you how it works quickly, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about what I think. Okay, as I said, there's 9 different roles or stations that a player can have. Each of them is going to get one of these little mats like so, and they're going to get a bunch of pieces to go along with it. So like the engineer, the weaponeering guy, I should say, is going to get this little board here. They're going to be able to flick a disc on here. But they're also going to get some cards and some Tetris pieces. And I'm going to go into these individually quickly. But I just want to show you that everybody's going to get a mat. The captain's going to get a mat here. It's going to change based on 3 or 4 players versus 5 or more players. And this is going to give you sort of the breakdown and the structure of the turn. You're going to go through 9 steps. And this kind of shows you the different roles and things that are going to be active. So here's sort of the main map of the board. And it's going to be made up of these tiles. So you'll randomly start with a tile here, maybe in the lower left-hand side. And then you'll take your little starship here, and it'll say maybe you can put it anywhere on this side of the tile there. And then as you're going to go along, you're going to be drawing tiles and adding these to, to the space area, to the sector. So the different maps will be, maybe you'll have a small map like this, or have something that's going to be a 3x2. So you have 2 more tiles over here. You won't see these at the beginning, but you will have an idea of what possible enemies may be there. So there's different cards here. So you've got easy enemies, hard enemies, and then the nemesis here. You'll kind of place these out here, and there may be some crystals and stuff that you're trying to explore. So as you explore, you reveal a new one and then move in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically walk through a quick turn here, show you the different phases of the game, show you quickly the different roles of the game. The first role obviously is the captain. They're going to be responsible for this timer and a couple other minor things. So the first turn of the game, you're going to have a discuss and distribute energy. Now this, and the first turn you can take as long as you want, but each other turn you have this 30-second timer. You're going to take and flip this over and then let that go. So you're going to basically get 3 minutes for each of the spaces there added together. So you guys can discuss, figure out which roles and which stations you want to make the most use of, kind of have a plan how you're going to move about the map, and try to figure something out there. Then we're going to go down here to the second stage, prepare your station, shuffle any cards, get anything set up so that you're ready to go. And then you're going to flip this over here, boom. As soon as you flip that over, you got 30 seconds to do these actions here. And then the captain's going to need to keep a careful eye on the timer, obviously, because it's very quick. It's only 30 seconds. So you need to keep all the players honest. and also at the same time trying to encourage them and get them to do things. Now you can always encourage each other, and you can't ever like touch their pieces or anything, but you can always say, hey, you know, look at that, remember where that was last time, and stuff like that. Then you're going to basically bump down to here, do these actions, and then come down here. Again, this is not timed because it's red, so you're going to resolve anything, and then keep working its way down. So let's take a look at some of these different roles that are going to happen here in this action phase in step 3. Now let's talk about engineering first. Now this is arguably the most important role in the entire starship. Now what they're going to be responsible for is dealing out these energy crystals to the different other roles in the game. So to start the game, you're not going to have anything set up. So you can take 12 of these and distribute them however you want. So you could put 2 on the helm, 2 on the jump, however you want to do it. Then when it comes to your first action phase on the turn, you're going to get 30 seconds, and you're going to draw 7 of these tiles like so. So you're going to draw these out, and then you've got to arrange them quickly into different little matrices here. So you can try to arrange them however you want. So you could do like this. They don't all have to match color, but you want them to form whole circles. And you just kind of put these out. I'm just going to put them out randomly. Probably not very good. And then you're going to count the whole circles here, so that the beginning of the next round, you're going to have to distribute the energy in this way. So the weapons here, the different 2 red ones would get 3 of these. And so this is going to dictate how the crystals are distributed on subsequent rounds. Again, the first round you just put them out however you want to get started. So you really need to see, okay, I'm going to focus on maybe weapons, there's a lot of enemies or something. So you're going to focus on that, and then you have sort of a byproduct of other crystals that are going to need to be distributed. But it's never that simple. It's never like I just want to focus on one of these. You usually need to focus on quite a few of these, you know, to have an effective turn as an entire starship. So here we can see how those energy tokens are going to be used. So we'll look at the sensors station here. So for each energy token that he's given by the engineer, he's able to draw some of these sensor target cards. And these are going to see, because these are geometric shapes like so. Now what you're going to be trying to do is a couple of different things. You basically are trying to get a lock on some possible targets. So you could have an enemy like so, or there may be a crystal or something like that you're trying to tractor beam into your hull. And you can target anything on the map anywhere that you can see in terms of the sensors. The sensors have a wide range. So let's say I had 2 energy tokens, I was trying to get a lock on 2 of these guys. I could draw 2 cards here and put them under here. Or if I wanted to scan a sector and basically open it up and see what was in there, I could put one under here. So you're going to flip over 2 of those, the timer's going to start, and then you're going to use your sense of touch to go into the bag here and feel around and try to pull out one of these shapes that matches that. So basically what you're going to feel around, think you've got it, pull out a shape, and go, oh no, I didn't pull out the right shape, but you have to place this on one of the cards. So, okay, I'll screw that one up and leave that one, and then try to search for this one. And you've got to do this in 30 seconds, so it's, you know, you get the hang of it after a bit, but it's not as easy as it might seem sometimes, especially if you really need to get a lock on one of these. So if you succeed, you can go ahead and place a lock on this guy so that it will give you a bonus when you're attacking it, or you can put a lock on this and give you a bonus when you're trying to tractor beam it in. You can even get a super lock, so it would take actually 3 successful attempts on one of these, and you get a super lock, even more of a bonus. Next we've got the weapon guy, and then for each of the energy tokens he's given, he's going to draw one of these cards like so. Let's say you got 2 energy tokens, he would do that. So these are basically torpedo tubes, and what you're trying to do within that first 30 seconds is fill in this as fast as you can to try to fill in all the different torpedo tubes. And I totally screwed that up, I'm not really paying attention. But once you can fill those in you know, precisely, then you'll basically have that many torpedoes that you can fire when we come to the firing phase. And I'll explain that when we get there, but basically you flick this disc and then we'll see if you hit the target. Okay, next we've got the Helmsman, and then for each of the energy tokens you basically have an option. You can move your speed up or down 1 for each energy token, and what this speed is basically the number of maneuver cards that you're going to be able to draw out. And so typically what you might do is you take this standard deck of maneuver cards, shuffle these up, and then if we're at 2, we'll maybe draw 2 of these, and then you've got to deal with the way that these say to move. So maybe I'll go this way and then this way. However, you always have the available special maneuver cards. You can always look at these and then substitute any of these in for one of the ones that you drew. The problem with these is these are sort of more brutal maneuvers on the ship, a little bit more stressful, and you're going to have to roll there and possibly do some internal damage to the ship. Now the other thing that you can spend energy for is just to get a bonus card. So you're always going to draw this number of cards plus any bonus cards that you spent. And that's the amount of movements that you're going to do on that turn. Now the other thing to keep in mind here is if you're moving, it's going to have effects on some other things in the game. So based on your speed, the enemy is going to get a little bonus damage. So if you're moving at speed 0, the enemy attack is going to add +2 damage to you. But if you're going really fast, it's going to be -2. But you're also going to be flying all over the map, probably flying into asteroids and all kinds of good stuff. And then at the bottom here you can see a couple of little terrain things. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but like if you fly through asteroids, you got to roll to see if you get hit. You got these rifts here that will block sort of line of sight, and a couple other little tidbits. Next we've got the shield station, and based on the number of energy tokens that you get from the engineer, you're going to draw a certain number of these tiles and then try to arrange them to sort of, you know, put left shields, right shields, front shields, aft shields, and try to get some more power there. So you can flip over a certain number of these, and there's different colors, blue and orange, and there's basically 1 through 8. And you're trying to arrange them in sort of poker hands. So you maybe say you want 3 of a kind or something along that line. So let's say we've got 2 pair here. So I got 3, and another 3, and a 9, and another 9. So the cool thing is that I'm going to put these over on the left like so. Let's say we did like this, okay? And we did like this one, okay? So the reason I did this is because you can see if I've got 2 pair, and if you look over here, I basically get 2 shield points in that side. So 1, 2. Now the ones in the middle are going to basically add to all of these. So you can use this 3 and 6 in either of the sides here. So I've got a pair of 3s and a pair of 6s. Now you can never put the same number here. I can't put like the 2 3s down here. They've always got to be different numbers. But you're going to get a bonus of ×2 if all of the numbers in one of the portions here, one of these outer portions, is the same color. So I've got 2 pair, 2 3s and 2 6s, using everything there. But all of these are orange. So I got 2 × 2. So I get a nice buffer of 4 shield points in that region. Now the next action here is this signifies the core breach. So all the players will actually do this when this happens. And this will usually happen later on in the round after your ship has taken several points of damage. But I just wanted to mention to you that will happen in the first part of the phase. But when I talk about damage, I'll talk about core breaches. So after we resolved our shields and our movement and our sensors, we're going to get an attempt at tractor beaming, and then we're going to fire weapons. So first we'll talk about tractor beams. Again, this is timed. What you're trying to do here is possibly tractor beam in and pull any crystals in, or get a tractor beam sort of almost like a lock on an enemy ship. So for each of these energy tokens that you're going to get, you can flip over 1 pair of these, and this basically is like memory. So I can flip over this one and this one. Okay, then maybe I got a second one. I could do this one and this one. Oh, look at that. So what you're trying to match here is the shape and the number. So these 2 are both number 4, but they're a different shape here. But these 2 are number 3s here. So I basically would have 3 points of tractor beam power. Now, if there's nothing that I really feel like tractor beaming, I'm far away from everything, I can still spend the energy to basically take a look at these, and then I'll turn them back down, just so I can start to get some sense of where these different shapes and numbers are. Now, to determine if you have a successful tractor beam, you're going to look at where your ship is on this map. Let's say I was here and trying to tractor beam something here. So I'm here, go 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. There's no diagonal, it's all orthogonal. So I'm 3 spaces away. And then I need to look at the current speed of my ship. So if I was 3 spaces away traveling at speed of 1, I would need 4. 3 plus 1 is 4 to, you know, get a successful tractor beam. So what did I flip over before? These 3s? That would not be quite enough. But I know where this is now. So if you tractor beam a crystal, you basically pull it in. If you tractor beam an enemy ship, you're going to get a multiplier 2 bonus on your weapons firing. So let's talk about the firing of weapons. So this is where we actually get to fire our weapons, and this is a little dexterity game of flicking this disc. Now remember, the number of torpedoes that you completed earlier is the number of shots you're going to get, and this again is timed. So you're going to take a look at the range you are to whatever target you're trying to shoot. So if you're at range 3, you got to start behind this line. And again, the range is, you know, not diagonal. So if I was here shooting here, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to there. So I want to put this back behind the 5. I'm going to flick this disc, and then it's going to travel up here. And so let's say I landed here. If I did not have a lock on it, I'd only hit 2 points of damage. If I had a lock, it'd be 3. If I had a super lock, it would be 5. And again, if I had a tractor beam, attached to it, it would double whatever I hit here. If you knock it off and it's touching the table or whatever, that's a miss. If it goes off the end, it's a miss. If it's on the line, it's on the greater side, so that's kind of nice. And then you get as many shots as you did torpedoes, and then you can apply that damage to however, whatever the targets are that you want it to hit. Now here's a possible target. So for purposes of damage, we're just going to look at these two numbers here. So here's its shields and here's its health. So every round, the first 2 points of damage applied to that target are going to be negated. So I need to do at least 5 points of damage, from however many shots to hit this guy. So you just take and put the damage little tokens here on the card, and then once you do enough, it's destroyed. Next, we've got the enemy action step. So as I said before, the Nemesis token is going to come in here at some point, and it's going to, every turn during this step, it's going to move down. And then once it hits 0, you're going to put it on the board, usually at the spot that the players entered the board. So if they entered in on this square, you'd put it there, and the players are probably hopefully far away from him. And then on the following turn, you're going to activate the Nemesis. So you're going to activate all of the enemy ships on the board, usually in the order that you want, and let me explain how that works. So you can see here we've got an enemy ship token here. This is also represented by a card that's off the board, and we've got our ship here. So the first thing that this guy's going to try to do is get a lock. So he's at space 1, 2, 3, 4 to our ship. So he needs to roll a 4 or greater, so less than or greater than or equal to. So he rolls that 2, no lock. So nothing happens. He doesn't do anything. Now if he'd rolled a 6, let's say, we're going to flip him over to the locked side. So this shows another picture of the ship with this little icon here. So now that he's locked, he's always going to move after our ship. So here you can see his movement. So he's always going to move 2 spaces toward our ship. So you can kind of pick however you want to go. It's going to basically try to avoid any obstacles, but you basically pick, so let's say I'm going to go 1, 2, and so we're going to actually roll to see if he hits this, so the enemy ships are still going to have to deal with the obstacles. And then he's got a range of 4, so he's within 1, 2 here. So he's going to roll this many dice, so you can see that there. So you're going to roll 2 dice, so 2 plus 1, so he's going to do 3 points of damage, and then you're going to see basically which side of the shields it's going to be relative to. So let's put it here for argument's sake. So he's going to come on your left side. For here, you could kind of choose basically however you want it to happen. So after resolving all the different enemy actions, possibly the Nemesis, we're going to do the jump and then the repair. So let me talk about those. Okay, let's talk about jump. Now jump is something that you're going to need to do at the end of the mission. So after you've sucked up all the crystals you need, killed all the enemies, you're going to need to jump away and escape. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to roll all 5 die, and what you're trying to do is get 5 of a kind. Now you can do this in turns previous to the final turn. Very first turn you can do this to try to prep your jump drive. And so basically you're going to roll the die. For each crystal you can re-roll as many dice as you want, or you can actually spend a crystal to get an extra 30 seconds. So instead of going for 5 of a kind though at the beginning, you maybe will be going for some of these different patterns here, and you're going to get these different cards. I have them in a mess here, but like if I had over 23 points on my pips, then I could take this card and move it from the inactive side to the active side. And then on subsequent turns, I could use this. This basically lets me change 2 dice down 1 or 1 dice down 2. This one, if I had a 4 of a kind with 4 5s and 6s, then I could change an even dice to an odd dice. And so during the game, I'm trying to accomplish these and then get a bunch of these over. So when it does come time to jump, I can try to use these different special abilities and maybe some of the extra energy I've gotten to be able to make the jump and finally get away. Okay, so the final thing you're going to do on your turn is possibly repair the ship. So when your ship takes damage, most of the time it's going to be absorbed by the shields here. So once that hits 0, any other damage points going off of that are going to basically draw cards from that side and apply the effect. There may be some random damage, like if you hit meteors or anything like that, you're going to roll a die and then you're going to apply damage to that side. Again, any damage beyond the shields is going to go into here. If you roll a 5 or 6, you can choose the side the captain can choose. To start the game, you're going to shuffle up each of these sides and sort of set them up in a different way based on the difficulty level. So there'll be basically less cards in here if you are doing a harder difficulty level. Now let's take a look at some of the card types here. There's going to be a few of these. Structure, no effect, so that's nice. You just basically are peeling off layers of the structure. There's going to be a shift change in each of these. And what that's going to do is everybody's going to actually change all the stations that they're doing. So that's kind of nice. It keeps things spiced up. There's always going to be one of those in each of the decks. So that's pretty cool. Now the other effects here are going to be, sometimes there'll be an immediate effect and then sort of an ongoing effect. And you can see the station that is affected by the damage. So what's going to happen there is it might do an immediate effect, and then you're going to place that card next to the station. So if you had something damaging shields, you'd place that card there to remind that player of some debilitating debuff effect that was going to happen on their turn. Now the way that you repair is you basically just flip a card. And so you can just flip a card and then you basically do what it says. So there's basically going to be an auto repair and a auto failure like these two here. And so an auto failure will cause again more damage, and an auto success will actually remove one of those ongoing effects from the station. Otherwise you're going to have to roll a die and then you either fail or succeed. Now what the energy token is going to be used for is to basically cancel out one of the effects. So if you draw an auto failure, you can spend an energy token to cancel it out and you don't take any damage. And then the ones with you roll a dice, you have to cancel it out before you roll the dice. You don't get a chance to roll the dice first. So that's your basic repair. Now any damage, like say one of these has been totally depleted, any damage that comes on that side is going to cause a core breach. And what that's going to do is going to move this thing up the track and then flip that over from OK to core breach. No matter how much extra damage is going in, you're just going to move it up once and then flip it over. And you can see this is the number of core breach cards that you're going to pass out to players. So during that initial time phase when everybody's doing that, each player is going to have one or possibly more of these, and then you're going to have to take turns passing around this deck to match these sort of Rorschach type of things with the inverted thing. And then you have to repair that. If you don't, if not everybody matches their core breaches, then you're going to lose the game. The ship's going to explode, so the core is unstable. And that's pretty much how the game plays out. You just go through all 9 steps. You have a discussion each turn, do the different actions, resolve some battles, and then move the alien ships along, and then try to jump and repair. Hopefully you complete the mission. Hopefully nobody's flown you into an asteroid field and killed your ship. But let me tell you about more what I think. Okay, hope you enjoyed the overview. I hope you can tell that I really enjoy this game. I was actually very surprised how much I enjoyed the game. I mean, I figured I would like the game because it's got a nice theme, it's got a very unique set of mechanics and all this good stuff. Stronghold's got nice components. Engelstein, he did the Ares project, which I like so much. This game is it's unlike any other experience that I've had playing a board game. I mean, you've got the different roles. They're all very sort of thematically flavored. Like you've got the memory thing with the tractor beam. Just very sort of Star Trek-y, like, okay, I'm trying to, get pinpoints on the different types of materials and the substances that make up whatever I'm trying to tractor beam. Or, I'm trying to, break through the defenses of a ship. You got the flicking mechanism, just like you're kind of aiming and shooting. What else is there? You got the sensors where you're using touch. I mean, that's just awesome. And it's going to take up a lot of table space. You got the 9 different stations, so even if you're playing with 3 players, you're still going to need a lot of table space. The other thing that's cool, I'm just going to list off cool stuff, like how you shift change. That's awesome, so it keeps everybody engaged. You have to be paying attention, especially like the tractor beam thing with the memory. I mean, if somebody's figured it out and you haven't been watching, and then all of a sudden like who's been watching? Nobody's been watching the tractor beam. Well then, you're screwed because nobody's been paying attention. You need to get that last crystal in. I like everything. There's a lot to take in, but it's nice because whoever's the captain can kind of start off as the captain, and you don't have a whole lot to do, but you can kind of take on that role and sort of a role-playing aspect and say, okay, Timothy, you go do this, and Billy, you do this, and then we all do this, and then you just focus on your thing and get it done. Another thing I did mention earlier was they have several videos for all the different roles. So if you go on the Stronghold's website, there's a video I think for each role. It's like a 2-minute video, and somebody actually on Board Game Geek even made a file with little QR codes. You can like scan with your phone. So if you're at a gamer night or something, and you just everybody's got an iPhone, or a few people got an iPhone, and you can scan it. So here's your role. Watch this little 2-minute video. Away you go. Yeah. I mean, the game is fully engaging, fully thematic. It gets hairy at the end, especially when the Nemesis shows up. And if you get a core breach, you're the first couple core breaches maybe you're doing okay, but if you get much more than that, it's chaos because you have to like do that at the same time as what your normal role is, and you've got to pass those cards around. Like if you've got multiple core breach cards that you have to repair, you can't just do both of them and give them around. You've got to do one, pass it around, and hope it gets back to you. So it gets really crazy, and it don't make me the helmsman because I will fly us into the sun. So I don't know what it is. It's getting that position in the facing of the ship, and I'm like, oh no, I meant to go left, and then boom, flew off the map or whatever. It's a blast to play. I mean, it just is a blast, and I think it's going to hit on a lot of different cylinders for a lot of different groups. You know, I think. I mean, I don't know. If you're not the type of person to like this game, I don't understand it unless you have a total aversion to space or something. Because there's enough firing on enough different cylinders, and you've got, it kind of touches those different levels of cognition or whatever kind of thing, where you got the touch, you got the negotiation and the teamwork aspects of it, and you got sort of the plotting. There are some strategic decisions to make, so it's going to hit a lot of people on a lot of different levels, and I think it really excels at what it does. It's a very social environment. It brings people together. It's the most like teamwork aspect. It's not so much of a puzzle of it's made up of several puzzles, but the whole experience is not so much a puzzle like a pandemic or something like like a traditional co-op where you're just trying to collectively figure it out, and there's one puzzle that everybody's figuring out, and whoever the two most experienced people are going to do it. This one is very much a collective, individual, what people bring to the team. It's awesome. Thanks.